All right, so you guys want to talk about the Pentecostalism movement. So let's talk about John and Charles Wesley, brothers. And John Wesley he's the founder, actually, of the Methodist Church. My husband was Methodist before he was saved. And Wesley was talking to the Moravians, which was a sect of Christians who were really into prayer and fasting, all that life. There's a prophet named Bobby Conner that comes to our church often, and he has a lot of contact with the Moravians. In fact, he has a cabin in Moravian Falls, North Carolina, where on the Day of Atonement, he will get a download from the Lord that he writes about in his shepherd's rod, which you can get off of Amazon. But anyway, the whole Pentecostal movement started with Wesley, and he just wanted to be closer to the Lord. He wanted that holiness. In fact, there's a sect of the church that's called Pentecostal Holiness. And Wesley wanted grace alone, or justification by faith. He wanted sanctification, which is deliverance from sin, and it leading to a second experience of entire sanctification. He wanted to be taught about the Holy Spirit or baptized by the Holy Spirit. The reason I know this stuff and what I'm looking at when I'm talking to you is our church teaches in their supernatural school all about the Pentecostal movement and when it started. And you'll see if you were to research the movement yourself, you'll see how it grew. You had someone like Edward Irving, who is called the forerunner of the charismatic movement, and this stuff is started in the 1700s. And actually, you can push it back to Irenaeus and Polycarp. Polycarp was back in the early 100s AD. He was an apostle, or a disciple, I should say, not an apostle, disciple of John, the Apostle John, under Jesus. And then Irenaeus was Polycarp's disciple. And, this Pentecostalism actually spread like wildfire. So you have William Booth was a big guy who started the Salvation Army. And he was big into it. He prayed. And a lot of this stuff, a lot of the movement started in prayer. People were on their knees, once because they wanted to be holy, but also because they just wanted more of the Lord and they wanted prayers. They saw how society was. So you have that. We go into the 1800s where it talks about John Dowie, who created Zion, Illinois. And he was big into healing. But, you could read God's Generals is a great book to read all about this. You have John J. Lake, big healing guy. The plague was scared of him. There's a huge story about he was touched by the plague in Africa, and he put it under a microscope, and they could see the plague, disappearing from him. A.B. Simpson, my husband, was an ordained minister in the Christian Missionary Alliance, and he was a founder, big on healing. You keep Smith Wigglesworth. You have the Welsh Revival, which was all part of it, which is Evan Roberts. Billy Sunday was another guy, Mary Wordsworth Etter. Oral Roberts. So we get to Oral Roberts. He was huge. William Branham, before Oral Roberts, he was big on healing. He was healed. If you don't know his story, I would check out when he was young, he was healed from a sickness. I think it was tuberculosis when he was younger, and he was completely healed. And so he's got a great story, the founder of our school. And it goes all the way up into the early 1900s, really. And that's when you have the Sousa Street revival. And so Pentecostalism has affected me because when I got saved, I was part of a cessationist movement. Actually, the Christian and Missionary Alliance, now most of it is not into the gift of tongues and all that stuff. It's one of the reasons we left it, because we wanted to find out more about it. And our church, World Harvest, loves this stuff. So, and I do believe everyone should live this way. The gifts of Spirit are for today. Speaking in tongues is important. It builds you up inside. It edifies you up inside. We see this in the Jesus movement in the 1970s. Catherine Kuhlman, we talk about Oral Roberts was great friends with Catherine Kuhlman. And, it's just fun. It's just fun to be a part of what the Holy Spirit is doing. When the Holy Spirit uses me to lay hands on someone and they get healed right in front of me, I praise Jesus, because that's how our life is supposed to be. Jesus talked about that we're supposed to cast out devils, that we're supposed to heal the sick, share the gospel. Should be our lifestyle. And that's what I really want you to know about Pentecostalism. That actually shouldn't even be called that. It should just be the normal Christian life. So, I gave you some resources to look up, and I don't know, just living this way excites me.